On this piece of paper right here, I have the 5 red flags to look out for whenever you're pitching your music to a sync library for the first time. Let's dive in. The first one is if they are requiring you to pay for a submission, say, hey, we'd love to check out your track. We charge $5 for submissions, $10 for submissions, whatever it ends up being. Don't pay it. It's a scam. Even if they do provide some sort of feedback, you are paying money for them to take a listen to your song and potentially give notes and then move on to the next entry. One, they're incentivized to listen to as many entries as possible because they're getting paid to just listen to a song, which may take 5 to 10 minutes of their time. Multiply that by how many submissions they're getting, and you can see the problem. So if they are asking you to pay for a submission, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not going to be worth it. I have personally paid for submissions in the past, and every single time I was like, wow, that was a waste of money. Hey, we like your song, but we don't think it's a good fit. Hey, here's some feedback that might not be, beneficial for the song or important for notes. So don't be paying this. Save your money, use it for something else. Number 2 is if that library hasn't had any placements in the last 6 months. If the library is big, and assuming that you are submitting to a reputable library that has a lot of music in their catalog, they should be getting placements pretty much every week, if not every month, consistently. They should be getting cuts. That's how it works. Like, they don't get paid unless they are getting a placement, and you don't get paid unless they get a placement for you. So if they're not getting placements within, a reoccurring amount of time, it doesn't look good, because as an artist and as a producer, if someone's sending in music to them, if they're not landing placements for you, then your music is not going to do anything by just sitting in a vault. It's essentially like sitting on another hard drive where they might be pitching it, but if they're not landing any successes over time, it's not going to mean anything to you, and you're not going to earn any money from it. Number 3 is bad splits. Sometimes libraries, especially the newer model ones that are pushing more towards like a blanket one-time subscription fee for unlimited usage type libraries, they tend to have different splits. The common and most common splits is 50-50. 50% of the publishing goes to the library, that's how they make their money, and then 50% of the publishing goes to you as the writer. So think of it like they keep the entire publisher share of the song and you keep the entire writer share, which they shouldn't touch at all. Shouldn't touch it at all. And also for any sync fees that they do get, a lot of times it is 50-50 unless it is an exclusive deal. Sometimes they will give you more. Most of the time though, it is 50-50. Everything is split down the middle, even, fair, easy to understand. Sometimes you can work with a library where they'll be like, hey, we take 25 or we take 75%, you get 25%. For any sync fees, but we split, the writer fee with you directly. So that could be an option, if you are, interested in those opportunities. I will say that, if you are submitting a song, it's essentially like you did all the work for it, and now they are keeping 75% of whatever income is generated, and you get 25%. Doesn't sound really fair. So I would recommend, if you can, definitely just review your agreements. Sometimes if you do have an exclusive agreement, the splits are going to be better because you are giving up more of your exclusivity for that song. For non-exclusive libraries, if the split isn't the best, I personally would think it's okay still, because you could take that song and pitch it elsewhere if you want to. So just worth noting, if you are comfortable with, not great equal splits, by all means go for it, especially if you can see that library is actually getting placements where over time it'll snowball and make sense for you. Number 4 is poor communication. We know that libraries that are big and good, like Marmoset Music, for example, they're crazy, they're huge, they get a bunch of ads, and they only accept submissions once a month. If a library has an open, submission portal, they're like, hey, send us music, send us 4 to 5 songs, we'll get back as soon as we can. They haven't responded to your email in the past 2 to 3 months. That's not a good sign at all. Not a good sign. Because if you think about it, how long does it really take to go through an email of like, hey, let's go check out this music, let's see what he's about, assuming that you sent them everything the way they wanted it. Obviously, if you're just spamming music that's not going to fit for their catalog, you're not going to get a response because you're wasting their time. This goes down to hey, you craft a nice, super nice, easy to read email for them, and they're just kind of diving through and let me go check this guy's out stuff. They'll kind of know within the first track or two if you're going to be a good fit for the library or if they're interested in the music and you're filling a hole that they might need. Your music could still be good, but they may have, an abundance of stuff that you're already making where they're like, hey, we don't really need this because we already have this stuff. If you do anything different, let us know. We're more than happy to take a look and accept it. So that is worth noting. If they take multiple months to decide and get back to you, that's not a good fit, because you got to think, if you get a placement, if you get a check, if you get some sort of opportunity from them, this whole delay in communication is going to create issues later on, especially when it comes down to how long it takes for sync stuff to get paid. Like if you get a placement, it takes like 6 to 12 months to even see any sort of back-end royalties depending on the medium, and sometimes even longer depending on the country. So it's worth noting that you want to have a very clear and transparent and roughly quick communication with libraries. I work with a couple libraries and they are great with communicating. Within a couple days, they usually get back to me. And those are great because now I know, what is on the top of mind for them, what projects we're currently working on, and I can ask them for anything and get a response relatively quick. The fifth and final is some libraries, for whatever reason, I don't know why, they're opting their catalogs into AI training. So this is, they basically take their full catalog, license it to a third-party company, and they use all the tracks, all the metadata, all that stuff, and use it for training, quote-unquote, homework for their models in order to train them better, in order to make them another product that can be then sold. That's kind of how Pseudo and Udio was created. It used training data, created a training model, and then from there it can now spit out whatever you want. So some libraries are pushing towards this clause, and it is worth noting and making sure that if you are submitting to a library, just double check it, skim it. Most contracts are pretty easy to read. You just have to understand they're each broken up into different sections. Just skim it. If you really want to, throw it into Claude or ChatGPT to be like, hey, is there anything off about this sync licensing contract that I need to be aware of? So definitely double check that. I've been a part of a few libraries where they just kind of auto opted us in. One of them was Pond5. It's not a great library. Do not submit to them. It's like a royalty free kind of bottom of the barrel place, but we luckily got paid for it. Probably wouldn't, throw any more music into that catalog knowing that they're going to be doing that for future songs and ideas. But, that's just kind of the future we're living in. Once you sign off a song to a specific catalog, a lot of the times you're giving up potentially your ownership, potentially your copyright to that specific library in exchange for the royalties as well as for a set duration. So it is kind of, within their right to do that. But obviously, as an artist, it is worth doing your due diligence to make sure that you're not sending your stuff to a library that's going to keep doing this. But those are all the 5 red flags that I would recommend you look out for whenever you are submitting to a library for the first time. And to just make sure, use your gut when it comes down to it. If you feel like, hey, this is kind of a weird deal, or I don't think they're really good people based on how they're responding to my emails, move on. There's great people in this industry. There's a lot of bad people in this industry as well. Just look and find people that you can gel with, and it's going to be a more fruitful relationship for you. If you're interested in sync licensing, I'm actually looking for a couple more students for a mentorship I'm running. If that sounds cool to you, DM me down below or just comment below or something. I'll reach out. But the goal is to get you a sync cut within 6 to 12 months of signing up.